Always look forward to hanging out here with you and my buddy Kirk, who's in the background making all of this possible for us. And just love sharing information with you and answering your questions. And you know, I just can never get enough of watching the videos of what we do. We've got such great video of our recent socials in places like Ukraine and China and Latin America, and it's just wonderful to watch people meet each other. It's my favorite part of what I do. It's really what I live for, to be honest with you. I just absolutely love to watch our men and women meet each other. It's very, very deeply gratifying. Welcome everybody. If you're part of my international audience, I know you stayed up late and I appreciate you very much. I'm going to try and give you some fun tonight. I want to answer your questions about international dating. And whatever you want to talk about works for me. There's a green button above my head which will tell you how you can text me your question. If you click that button, you can text me your question. I'll see your question on my admin panel throughout the night, and I'll be happy to read your question. I'll do my best to answer it for you throughout the evening. Guys, you can get your questions going right now because I want to answer some of your questions before we get into tonight's topic. And then we'll do tonight's topic, and then I'll answer some more of your questions. And the whole entire time, Kirk will be playing some really great video for us from recent socials, probably most of it in Ukraine. And the reason for that is we've got a lot going on in Ukraine in the month of July. We have 6 cities that we'll be visiting. We have 2 separate 3-city tours, and we booked them together to create one giant 6-city tour. And I'll tell you what, guys, again in July, this happens to us almost every year, we're about to cap our tours in July. We're at maximum capacity. We're just a few seats below maximum capacity in both our Kiev, Kharkov, and Sumy tour and our Odessa, Nikolaev, and Kherson tour. It takes a lot for us to get to capacity, but we're at capacity, guys, right? We're almost at capacity. So this is not marketing fluff. I'm telling you, it's the truth. John's been threatening me for a couple of weeks here that we're going to put a cap on these tours because we're going to run out of hotel rooms and resources and things like that. We want to give the guys who have signed up a really good experience. So number one, if you travel with me to Ukraine in the month of July, as I said, I will be your tour leader. I will be with you traveling. Can you imagine all the fun we're going to have? Because we're going to see a really magnificent country, a really terrific culture full of people who are just alive and interesting and sophisticated and amazing, most of them incredibly beautiful and single women for you boys. We're going to work with the best staff on the planet, the best international staff anybody ever had anywhere. The people who work with us in our cities in Kiev, in Nikolaev, in Odessa are absolutely the best. And our independent agency partners who will be working with us in places like Kharkov and Sumy and Kherson, fabulous partners that have been with us for a long, long time. Right now we're looking at video footage from a recent social in Kherson. And this is something that our independent agencies put together with the help and support of Anna, our great office manager in Odessa. So we've got lots and lots of really great stuff on deck for you in July. You can be a part of it, but you got to make a quick decision, and we got to get this going. Airfare is going to go up if we make much longer, so this is the week, guys. If you want to go with us in July, this is the week when you need to make a decision and get her done. The good news is I'll be with you the whole entire way. We'll have hilarity and nonstop laughs and fun. We'll have great, great group dynamics. I've got extremely cool guys on this upcoming tour. You will love the group. You really will. You'll love your tour mates, which is a lot. It's quite important when you're traveling all over a country the size of Texas, 6 different cities, 3 different cities, and the schedule is orchestrated so beautifully and so perfectly, but we're going to spend a lot of time together. It's very important that you like your comrades, and you definitely will like your comrades. So we've got really exciting tour options for you. If you have your eye toward Latin America, one of our best Latin American tours is also coming up, that being our July 5th commencement in San Jose, Costa Rica. We love our San Jose, Costa Rica staff. Gustavo and Andrea do such an amazing job for us. We love them. They've been with us forever, and we have such beautiful women in Costa Rica, many, many, many of them. And although Costa Rica is one of our popular destinations, we don't have nearly as many men going to Costa Rica as we have women who are waiting to meet them. So again, for those of you with an eye toward Latin America, a great opportunity for you on the horizon. And then, before I go to Ukraine in July, and just as soon as I get back from Ukraine in July, I've got a bunch of international dating seminars to do, which you can attend for free. These are seminars. This is not just a 4-hour long chat, guys. I'm pouring my heart and my soul into our meeting into the opportunity that we create by getting together on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. And I tell you very passionately why I do what I do and what I'm doing, and my whole entire outlook on international dating and lonely men and what they choose to do about their loneliness, and the opportunity for you to find an incredibly beautiful girl who's thrilled to have you in her life, who will give you her love and her body and soul, just as any soulmate would. But you got to get on a plane and go and meet her, and I will guide you through that process when we do our international dating seminars. Coming up this weekend, Dana Point on Saturday at 11 o'clock, guys. Dana Point, California. We're going to be doing a seminar, and then the following weekend, next weekend, just before the 4th of July, I'll be in Miami and Tampa, Florida, doing 2 incredibly great seminars. We're looking at footage from the 2016-2017 tours to Ukraine. I did seminars last year in the early part of the year in Florida, and a bunch of guys from my seminars traveled with me in the summertime. A few guys traveled with us in the springtime, and you're watching some of these guys who I met a year and a half ago on their tour having a tremendous amount of fun. The men are quite real, and most of them extremely nice guys. The women are definitely real, and most of them very nice ladies, just lonely due to cultural circumstances that drive them to us looking for a life mate. And it's fun just to watch everybody meet. So I will be doing international dating seminars in Tampa and Miami. Next weekend, this coming weekend, I'll be in Dana Point, California. And then I'm going to be in Ukraine when I get right back from, actually, before I go to Ukraine, right after the 4th of July, I'll be in Indianapolis and St. Louis. That's a lot, right? So before I begin escorting about 50 guys all over the countryside of Ukraine, isn't that amazing? I love it. I would do a tour with 100 guys. I would. I'm so excited you can't even imagine. Can't even imagine. It's going to be awesome, guys. But before I do pretty much the entire month of July in Ukraine, I will also be doing a seminar in Indianapolis and St. Louis. So Dana Point, California this Saturday, Miami next Saturday, Tampa next Sunday. The weekend after that, I believe it's the 7th and the 8th. Saturday and Sunday after the 4th of July, I'll be in Indianapolis and St. Louis, pouring my heart and soul into a couple of international dating seminars before I get on the plane and go to Ukraine for 3.5 weeks. Yeah, man. So if you want to come to an international dating seminar, good for you. You should. Thousands of guys aren't going to do that. They're going to sit at home and write letters into oblivion and do absolutely nothing to move themselves forward in their search for a life mate. If you want to come to one of our international dating seminars, that's great. I want to make sure you have a seat so you're not standing in the back, and plenty of refreshments and all that good stuff. Goodness, what a video. So, RSVP, bud@loveme.com. If I keep my eyes off the video, this whole thing will go a lot more smoothly. All right, guys. Questions, guys. Get your questions in. We're going to talk tonight about a topic that John brought up last week, and your questions, there were so many, and he did a great job addressing them, so we didn't really have a chance to get into it. But we're going to talk a little bit about how to maintain, how to build on your international relationship. There's tons of information which talks about how to meet beautiful international women. We have tons of information on how to attend our worldwide social events and tours. But what happens after you succeed? What happens when you meet somebody and you're in love? Even before you're doing the fiancé visa process, how do you build the momentum you create on our tours when you get back to the States so you don't lose momentum and lose your girl? We're going to talk about that in just a little bit while we answer some of your great questions around international dating and all that fun stuff. Green box right above me says you can text me your questions. Do it. John says, before the tour, when we send a list of women, do those women look at our profiles? That would be great if they do that. John, the answer is yes. Most of the time they do. There are some times, because of circumstances that are a little too complicated for me to explain here, that they do not. However, whenever we contact these women and say a gentleman on our upcoming tour is requesting to meet you at one of our social events, or is requesting to meet you for coffee or dinner on a dinner date, every single one of those women is going to say, okay, great. Who is he? How old is he? Tell me about him. And we can only do that with the information in your profile. So if they're not in our office looking at your profile, if they don't come by our office and look at your profile, we'll simply send them the information from your profile, including your pictures. But one way or another, we will make sure that they see who you are, and they will know who is inviting them to the social or who's asking them for a date. It's very, very important. Melvin says, I'm looking at Ukraine again in September, specifically at the socials in Odessa and Kherson. Is it possible to do 2 social-only events? Been in Nikolaev again, would like to try something new, says my excellent friend Mel in Chicago. Yeah, actually, Mel, you can attend as many social events as you want, and you definitely can attend the social events in September in Odessa and Kherson. That's completely not a problem. So just reach out and let me know when you're ready to commit to that, and we'll help you to set that up. Dan says, last Monday night I asked John if he would consider inviting Bill to come on a Monday night for those of us interested in meeting Filipinas. But Bill's not a Filipina. He liked the idea. I think you could set it up sometime. All right, so Dan is asking about my coworker Bill, who's awesome, who also wore black to work today. And it's like Men in Black. Everyone look at the pen. All right, anyway, so Bill is married to Bonnie, who's awesome and beautiful and fun. He's a lovely, lovely family. And Bonnie's a great personality. So, you know, I think it's a great idea. We haven't heard from Bill in a while. If Bill would be interested in hanging out with us on a Monday night to talk more about the Philippines, or quite possibly on a Wednesday night, you know, which is when we usually, that Wednesday night, we usually designate that as kind of our Asian interest night. So one way or another, Dan, I will follow up with Bill and we'll figure out what is the best way to do this. I certainly wouldn't mind doing it. Bill's awesome. And he's got a lot of really great information. Bill's also been to the Ukraine before, so he can kind of compare a little bit Ukraine and the Philippines. What I can say for Bill is I started at this particular office in Phoenix in this particular role somewhere back in 2011. Seems like an awfully long time ago, right? And Bill was quietly living his life with nobody, honestly. I mean, and Bill went from nobody to go home to suddenly this beautiful wife and these 3 adorable children, just like that. And I know he's deeply, deeply grateful, and they are one of our incredibly successful and happy couples, and I adore them. So I'd love to have Bill on. I'll work on that for you, Dan. I absolutely promise you I'll work on that. Maybe we'll do it next Monday night. Yeah. Richard says, I want to thank you for all of your help. I got engaged to a wonderful lady in Cebu. You and Robert helped a lot. Richard, you are most welcome. The good news is, my friend, you did all the hard work. Way to go, buddy. All right, Robert says, one more question and then we'll jump into our topic tonight, and then I'll come back and take some more of your questions, okay, guys? Robert says, Dear Bud, these women seem to be well educated, but doing menial jobs like attendant or administrator. Would they like to work to match qualifications once in America? Great question, Robert, and a good observation on your part. And the answer is sure, absolutely, they would. This is kind of the interesting thing. We're talking a lot about women in Ukraine, or women in Russia, where everybody can get an extremely good university level education for very little money, sometimes for free. What an incredibly different culture we would be if our young people could have a really good university level education without having to go tens of thousands of dollars in debt. Wouldn't that be just amazing for our country? Well, in Ukraine, people can get such an education without borrowing money. Unfortunately, there aren't always jobs to match the level of education that somebody has. Sometimes very advanced degrees, people with them cannot find jobs. So you'll have chemical engineers who are working in donut shops, and you know, you'll have very high level accountants who are working in menial jobs, you know, a lower level job in a bank. It's true. It's absolutely true. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Would the women like to work somewhere in their large capacity of education when they come to America? Sure, they would. Can they do it? Usually not at first. That's usually a project, if you will. That's going to take several years for them to come here to get experience, to be able to translate, if you will, officially. There are agencies that do this that are sanctioned by the government to officially translate their qualifications and their degrees so they can present them in job interviews. It's not impossible, right? There's so many jobs and obviously so many degrees and that kind of thing. It's not at all impossible, but it's probably going to take a little bit of time. In most cases, the women understand this, they accept it, they reconcile it, and they're happy to just work. Women want, as we're going to talk about, women want progress. Women want motion. Women want to be moving forward at some pace in this experience. What women don't want is for 6 months, 8 months, or a year to go by and nothing moves. Nothing happens beyond that initial meeting, or nothing happens beyond coming to America. You know, women in Ukraine, they're hardworking women. They're overworked, to tell you the truth, but they're very hardworking. They're very resourceful. They know how to get stuff done. They're incredibly tenacious. Very hard to keep them down. And to come to America and sit around and be able to do nothing is a real struggle for them. So yes, absolutely, they're going to want to work. They're going to want to advance their knowledge. They're going to want to increase their opportunities because they're driven people. They really are. All right. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about what I want to talk about, and then we'll come back to what you want to talk about. All right. Let me back it up. Get the right slide. Gosh. So guys, last week, John talked a little bit about a great topic, which it's interesting, but I realized today we don't really spend a lot of time talking about it. In fact, I don't think I've really talked about this in a long, long time. But how to build and nurture the long-distance relationship that you are going to create in this process. You know, once you've started it, once you've met somebody, so, you know, you come to one of Bud's life-defining international dating seminars, or you watch our blog and you decide, what the heck, I'm going to give it a try. I'm not getting any younger. I'm going on a tour. I'm going to go meet some of these ladies. I'm going to put myself in this video. And in the process of doing that, what do you know? You meet a lot of very beautiful and friendly people, and you meet the one. She came out of nowhere. You weren't expecting it. She was incredibly cute. She wouldn't stop looking at you. You couldn't stop looking at her. You giggled and laughed. You went out on a date. She brushed up against you. You thought, was that an accident? And it wasn't. She did it again. Then you were holding hands. Then you knew she liked you, right? Then you're holding both hands. Then you're embracing. Then she's holding your arm and hugging you tightly when you walk down the street. This is wonderful. It's romance happening in your life, and you thought it wasn't possible. Before you know it, you risk your first kiss, and it was a wonderful first kiss. It was happy. She enjoyed it. You enjoyed it. And there was another and another. And now, here you are, right? Good for you. Good for you. But the logical question is, what do I do now, right? What do I do now that I've met her and I've got her and I'm back in the States and it feels like I just walked out of an explosion or I just walked out of a dream? I'm slowly waking up and I believe I'm deeply in love and she's over there and I'm here. So how do I build and nurture this long distance relationship so I don't lose it? I did a short video a few months ago, and this thing got massive views on YouTube. It was really surprising. But the video was the top 2 mistakes that men make when they go to Ukraine to romance women. The first mistake is not the topic for tonight, but men just carry the age difference thing a little too far, a little too far to extremes, and they risk meeting somebody with whom they don't have a really deep compatibility with. We'll talk about that later. But the other mistake that men make quite frequently when they go to Ukraine is they don't have the next step clearly defined. They don't have a plan. They're here meeting somebody, they've met somebody, and it's really wonderful, and they have no idea what their next move is. So let's talk about, you've met, you've courted, you've had a romance, you've fallen in love, you tested it, you passed the test, you're happy, you're in love, here you are. How do you keep it going? Go listen to the song by Dan Fogelberg called Make Love Stay. Will you guys? Just YouTube with lyrics, Make Love Stay with Dan Fogelberg. There's a song we all can relate to. God, I loved him. I really did. All right, let's first talk about the good news, guys. The good news is you can do this. You can. The good news is you can fall in love. You can court somebody. You can have a great relationship. She's going to be beautiful. She's going to be everything you dreamed of. She's going to be all yours and happy to be all yours. And you're going to be all hers. And the two of you are going to be happy and exclusive and committed to each other and monogamous and clearly defined relationship going forward. You've got it. You got her. You did it. You did what 97% of the tens of thousands of men who were writing letters into oblivion with no plan did. You got on the plane and you went and got your girl. Wait a man up. All right, now you're back here, or wherever here is, and you've got your girl, but you've got to go forward with a plan so you can keep your girl, and most importantly, you can get back to your girl and be with your girl. See, this is the challenge with the international dating relationship, right, guys? You've got to be ready to do something once you fall in love. We talked about questions you ask yourself before you do anything, before you spend a dime on any international dating agency website. You ask yourself questions. You go take a walk in the park, you know, and just go for a weekend somewhere and deeply contemplate these questions because you cannot avoid them. They are going to come up. And if you spend money before you have a clear answer for them, you're going to waste your money and your time and emotion. And the first question is, do you want to fall in love? Because you're gonna. And then the next question is, are you ready to do something about that? All right, so here we are. You've fallen in love, you did it. Now let's do something about it. The good news is you can get your girl, you can keep your girl, you can build that love experience, you can make it nothing but magic and romance, and in the end you can bring your girl here, wherever here is, and you can have her forever and she's all yours. You can definitely do this. Thousands of guys have done this, thousands of guys are doing it and will do it, and you can do it. All right? All right, here are the challenges. We already talked about the fact that if you're going to do this, you've got to have a clearly defined plan in place. In other words, what is the next step and the next and the next after you've met and fallen in love? This is what a lot of guys are lacking. This is also what all women want. We think women have no expectations. We think the women are just here to be discovered, and however we do it is up to us. And we take for granted that women have expectations. Of course they do. They're human beings in this process. If they're going to commit themselves emotionally, if they're going to fall in love, like you, the last time or two they fell in love, it didn't end so well. And they're a little battered and bruised, but they're okay. But they don't want to repeat all of that crap. They don't want to fall in love for nothing. They don't want to surrender to somebody for nothing. They want that to be for something. And you've got to have that plan and be able to speak to it. It's really, really important, right? So, define your plan, right? We're going to go on a tour. I'm going to meet somebody, court somebody, find my girl. And then what? What is your plan for getting back? What is your plan for spending more time together? What is your plan for developing that relationship, for creating and sustaining really magical romance between the two of you despite the distances? You know what's great, guys? There's no amount of distance on this earth right now today that can't be overcome with the technology that we have available. We have such amazing resources available to us right now. The world has gotten very, very traversable, very, very small. All right, so let's talk about the technology. For one, if you're not technology oriented, you better get technology oriented. You have no choice. I have guys that tell me all the time, Bud, you know, I don't know how to write an email. I don't really like computers very much. I'm kind of amazed that they found us to begin with, but here we are. All right, so the good news is she's still there and you're still here and you've got a little time, but you got to move quickly. You need to take advantage of some of the technology, the really great technology that's available to help the two of you communicate. So start looking for smartphones, start looking for apps that will help you, right? Apps, these are programs that you can download on your smartphone or your tablet computers, your laptop, whatever, that you can use to communicate, to translate, to get messages to her. You know, I was sending a message to somebody recently and just stop for a moment to realize how incredible it is that I can take a message, translate it fairly accurately in another language, and send it halfway around the world in 20 seconds. That's just amazing, right? If you ever fly internationally, all of the hours, that exhausting trip, it takes you personally to go abroad somewhere, but your messages can go like that. The technology is just amazing. You've got to open your mind and your heart to technology so you can embrace it. Here's the thing, guys. Women around the world are using technology. And if you're not using it, you're going to look like a dinosaur. And that's not good for you. So get familiar with technology. Once you get the hang of it, there's so many chat apps that you can use to help you talk to each other. There are apps that you can use to translate your messages into Chinese and English, Russian and English, Spanish and English, back and forth, conversationally, very, very easily. There are a whole bunch of them that you can use. You know what's great, guys? You're going to still be conducting your courtship. So you're going to want flower and gift delivery services. A Foreign Affair has very good, very reliable flower and gift delivery services, and do not take that for granted. You don't just show up in a courtship and give flowers once, right? What's really great is in the middle of a work day, somebody calls up and says, "Hi, are you so-and-so?" "Yes, I am. Your man from America has this gigantic bouquet of roses that I'm going to deliver to you, and maybe a lovely cake for you and your child. Where are you?" "I'm coming to deliver these flowers." In the middle of the office, right? Everybody envies her. It's such a nice, spontaneous thing, and it's very romantic, and you want to do that. So be sure that you're going to take advantage of flower and gift delivery services. Very, very important. I also think it's very nice to put a package together and send it to somebody. Kind of a romantic idea, right? Go shopping for a few things. Maybe some really nice perfume or some cosmetics, you know, whatever, lotion, something. If she has a bathtub, go to Lush and buy some bath bombs. Do something, put a package together with, you know, some nice chocolates, a few nice gifts, a small, simple package, and send that package. Internationally, FedEx, DHL. There are a number of providers, and if you need suggestions, you can call me and I'll see what I can come up with for you. But send a package. What a great idea. Send her a parcel. Can you imagine? She gets a message one day, hey, I'm from so-and-so delivery service. Where are you? I've got a package from this guy in America. She wasn't expecting, and here's this beautiful package, a toy for her child, some lovely, things that she'll enjoy, some snacks. Just, boy, what a gesture, right? Guys always worry that you're going to meet women who want you to buy them iPhones and new computers and new cars and all these expensive things. But I'm telling you, the right girl, and there are so many right girls, will be very, very happy to just have a simple package from you that shows that you put some thought into delivering something to her. There are all kinds of cool, spontaneous, little things that you can do to communicate how much you love somebody, and they're all magic, and you can do them. At the end of the day, guys, do these things. Do them passionately, do them consistently, do them more than once, and remember that complacency is so not your friend. And it's easy to become complacent. We're creatures of habit. Once we've gone on our tour and we've come back, we did the hard work, we traveled, we met. I did all my court shit over there, bud. I bought her flowers at least twice over there. Great, and now we're here. When you become complacent in a long-distance relationship, that's when it's on its way over. It really is. Women in this process want to see you in action. Some actions are big, some actions are small, but they're all demonstrative of how much you love somebody, how much you are interested in being attentive to them, how much you care about them, and how you want this to go forward. So do not be complacent. And one way to do that, am I getting ahead of myself here? Yeah, I am. All right. Things are going to come up, guys, right? So one of the things that you're going to need to do when you're in a relationship stateside, things come up. People need each other, and that's one of the reasons we find each other. And some of those needs are just simple material needs. Things come up. So have a little extra cash on hand just in case something comes up. I'm not advocating send money to your girl when you hardly know her. I'm not advocating send money to her when you're not seriously in a relationship or on your way to being engaged or engaged. But when you're in the deeper realm, right? When you're at those deeper stages of relationship development, she's going to lean on you. All women do. This is one of the reasons why women will gravitate toward a traditional man. And this is what we signed up for, so be prepared for it. Every now and then, a little something comes up, and she'll need a little bit of support. Be prepared for that. That's not something that a lot of guys want to hear. On the other hand, there are other guys who think, you know what, I want to be there for my girl and her child, my future family. I totally want to be there for them. So I will have resources set aside just in case something happens so that I can be supportive. And you keep on trucking. You keep on going. You keep that momentum. If something happens, the child gets sick or she loses a job, something comes up, it doesn't derail all the work that you've done. You're ready and you're prepared to keep it going. Very important, right? You are going to be the man with the plan. Every time I see Henry, man, I just can't get over that nervous guy who was sitting in front, in the front row of my Tampa seminar in 2017. He looked anything but confident, although he was certainly handsome and gregarious. And to see Henry in such a zone, such a Bon Jovi zone in the middle of the social, I can't get enough of that. Henry, wherever you are, man, I love you. I'm glad you're here. All right. So here's how we do this, guys. Let's talk about specific steps that we can take, right? Again, have your next step clearly defined. Be talking about it. Be acting on it. Do this very consistently and keep doing it. What's interesting, guys, is tens of thousands of guys are going to write letters to beautiful foreign women. Tens of thousands of guys are going to say all the same things that you say. And I know that sounds funny, but until your words are in action, your words are just like everyone else's words. Tens of thousands of guys are writing letters saying, I love you, I'm going to marry you, you're going to come, I'm going to buy a big house. You'd be amazed at how many guys write that and know it's not ever going to happen. Tens of thousands of guys are out there doing that all over the world. It's crazy, but it's true. It really is. If you are going to separate yourself from men who say those same lovely things, it's going to be through actions, right? Actions always express priority and true intent. So have your next step clearly defined. Sweetheart, I'm coming back in 3 months. We'll spend a week together in Shenzhen. We'll go and see the beautiful city parks. We'll go to this great restaurant that we loved again. I'll find a lovely place for us to stay that's very romantic. Honey, I'm coming back to Ukraine in August. I'll be there for for 2 weeks. We can spend all that time together. I'll find a nice apartment for us. We'll go to that lovely pizza place. We'll go for sushi. We'll do this, we'll do that. All the stuff you like to do. We'll go to the opera, whatever, right? Have that plan clearly defined. Here are the plane tickets. Here's the hotel receipt. Here are the plans. I'm shopping for a few small gifts. Here's what I'm doing. It's Saturday afternoon. I'm shopping for a few small, whatever it is, you are constantly in motion, constantly speaking about that next step, and you've got your mind wrapped around it, and you're keeping her focused on it. And that shows that you are a man of true intent. That is the single most important thing that you can do when you have an international relationship that you're trying to grow and build on, right? Here's something a lot of guys don't want to do, but it's really important you do it. And it's not as hard as you would think. Start learning her language. Start learning. It's easy to learn words and phrases, guys. Learn romantic phrases. Learn practical phrases. Learn how to order food. Learn how to get directions. Learn how to tell time. Speak to her in her language. She's learning your language. She's not going to come to America, and not be able to speak something, because women who come to America really hate, especially educated, sophisticated women, like the women in China or the women in Ukraine. Women everywhere don't want to come here and have people meet them and not be understood when they're trying to talk to those people, or when those people are trying to talk to them. And I can tell you that in Russian and Ukrainian culture, they absolutely hate not being understood or being able to understand somebody, and they blame themselves for not being proficient in a language, which is crazy, but that's how they feel, right? So it's really important that you show her, you're meeting her effort, you understand what a struggle it is for language. So make some resources available for her to learn English. It's really easy to do. They can do a ton of it online for very little money. And you yourself advance yourself in her language so that when you are together, the pressure is not all on her. And she sees how you are consistently learning and applying yourself to learn her language. It is a huge step. Guys never do this. And if you do it, it's going to help you truly win the heart of your girl. Effort means something. Learn her language. What's great is when you learn her language, you can start sending her voice messages. Imagine she wakes up and there's a voice message that you recorded and sent to her through a chat app or something like that in her language, telling her, hello, sweetheart, good morning, how are you? I'm thinking of you. I hope you, whatever it is. It's a very, lovely, sincere gesture on your part. Cool thing to do, right? Let her wake up and hear your voice speaking to her in her language a few times a week. How cool is that? Another idea, you can create a website. You can create a blog, you can create a journal, something where she can go online when you're asleep and just see some thoughts that you've posted about the two of you or something like that. So, again, just another example of something that you can do. There are so many things that you can do. Be sending the flowers, be sending an occasional gift, put a package together, keep a journal online, let her go and read some, my favorite romantic moments that we've shared together, right? Learn her language, speak to her in her language, be nurturing and supportive in your personality, have clearly defined steps. The next thing we're going to do is this, on the horizon is this, and be speaking to those and acting upon those. And guys, if you do that much, you're going to get your girl. You really are. I think it's very, very important that you create a calendar. Literally a calendar. Those big desk calendars, or if you're again, use the apps or whatever, but create a calendar. Here's what I'm going to do this month. I'm going to write a journal on these days. I'm going to send her flowers on this day. I'm going to, talk to her personally on the phone on these days. Have those things in place. If there are any special dates, right? Obviously her birthday, a child's birthday, your anniversary from when you met, whatever it is, have those dates in mind and do something that's cute and surprising on those days. And just be there consistently with a plan that is constantly in motion, and you will keep your girl, and you will build on that love relationship. And then each time you meet, each time you spend together while you're waiting for your fiancé visa to be approved, however long that takes, that relationship will get deeper and deeper. And, guys, honestly, women in this process, they want to fall in love. They want to meet a man. And they probably don't think through the entire idea of relocating. They think about it in very general terms. But they understand if I meet somebody and he's my man, we have to be together, so I probably will relocate. It's very scary for me because I won't be in control of anything in the beginning. So I'm putting myself literally in his hands, they're thinking, but they'll do it. They'll do it. And you can make the whole entire thing more exciting and less nervous for her by just being a constant, consistent, man of action, right? Have your plan and have it constantly working, right? Yeah. It's exciting. It's good times, guys. Questions around that? Questions around anything else? I'm all for it. Ready for it. Want it. Sock it to me. It's what I'm here for. Guys, I've got international dating seminars coming up for you. They are free, they are informing, they are life-defining, and you shouldn't miss them. John will be doing a whole bunch of them, John and Tanya, later on in the year, probably picking up about mid-August, as I understand it. But coming up this Saturday, I am going to be doing a really great international dating seminar at 11 o'clock from 11 to 3 in Dana Point. Actually, we're going to be at a Holiday Inn Express in San Clemente. You can see where we'll be at loveme.com, or you can write to me, bud at loveme.com, to make an RSVP, and I'll send you the address and all that good information. But then next weekend, I'm going to be in Miami on Saturday and Tampa on Sunday. And then we got the 4th of July thing going on. And then Indianapolis and St. Louis seminars are on deck. I'll be doing those. Then I'm off to Ukraine for 3 weeks, guys. So it's a lot going on. But come on out. Come and meet me. Sit down, drink a cup of coffee, and listen to my presentation. I'm absolutely sure that it's going to move you, and you're not going to be the same when it's over. And as soon as you come into my seminar, you're going to tip the hourglass over, and it's just a matter of time before the final sands come through that thing, and you're going to get on a plane and go and meet your girl. A lot of guys decide, you know what, I'm not waiting any longer, I've waited a few years, and you decide you're going to put deposits down or pay for tours during the seminar, because I offer some pretty incredible savings that you've got to come to the seminar to get. But yeah, man, come to the seminars. They're free, they're informing, they're great, you have nothing to lose. Bud at loveme.com. Okay. Let me get some of your great questions. Good Lord, where did I leave off? Goodness, okay, that's good. Okay, great. Robert is asking a follow-up question on my first question about women's jobs. Would it be helpful if we provide a cover letter for a woman that we're interested in meeting, or would it be more appropriate if we simply write them a letter? I think a cover letter is not personal, and I think the women really like to see something that is personal, Robert. Women have a very romantic approach to this whole thing. So they want to feel like, you know what? I saw your profile and the sky opened up, and I literally heard the voice of the angel saying, this is for you. So I wrote to you, something like that. The women want to feel like there's some real true fate involved, and that this wasn't just a random act, but something very, very meaningful. So, hey, I saw your profile. Here's what I noticed about you. Loved your hair. Loved that dress you were wearing. Very interesting dress. That dress would be boring, but you make it really exciting. Love your beautiful eyes. Interesting color. I couldn't tell if they were green or brown. They're so dark. What are they? But I'm sure that's something people notice about. Just those kinds of very specific things. And then they want to hear that you're going to get on a plane and come and meet them. So definitely speak to your serious intentions around that, right? And that'll do it, Robert. That'll get you a good response. Michael says, if I receive a letter from a woman, is it fair to assume that I fit her criteria? I was asking this, as John said last week, that the letters are sometimes written by matchmakers on behalf of the women. You know, most of the time, what you have essentially are matchmakers who operate, I use this analogy all the time, but it's very accurate, matchmakers who are operating like real estate brokers with some of the most beautiful houses to sell and no market. So they're trying to get their houses out in front of you. If they think you're going to like this house, I think there's an excellent chance you're going to like this house, they're going to get that house out in front of you. So I think, Kevin, that yes, sometimes the women stop by our offices and they go through profiles and they look, who should I be writing to? Should I be writing to somebody? They ask our staff what our thoughts are on that. That definitely happens. So sometimes the women send their intro letters. Sometimes the letters are sent by matchmakers and women together, and sometimes the matchmakers are probably sending, representative letters from the women. I mentioned before, in an earlier life, I used to be a headhunter. I used to send resumes to employers all the time because I knew that this was an opportunity that my employee would definitely be interested in, my candidate would be interested in. So yeah. So yes, I think it's quite possible that they'll see some of you, but it only takes a letter or two for them to know who you are and what you're about. I think, honestly, guys, be a man of action. I really do. I mean, I realize you're going to have letters in your inbox coming from women, and that we like to see initiative from women and maybe some of those representative agencies finding us, and we feel the magic and the serendipity in that. But I'll tell you what, as soon as you join our site and set up your profile, shut all that stuff off, go into our search engine and find your girl. Go find the women you want to meet and start writing to the women you want to meet. You take control of that process, because when you are writing to women, the women are writing you back. It's very, very important that you take the initiative to write to the women you want to write to. Guys will often, it's like being at a social. I find guys who go into a social party with a very clear objective of what they want to meet, 5 minutes later, they're sucked into a conversation with somebody who's very nice, but really not right for them in some way. But they're too polite to get out of it. It was there, it was convenient, and that's kind of, in some way, how the intro letters work. They're so convenient, but sometimes we're engaging an awful lot of time and money and resources into somebody who's not going to be right for us, and we know it. So don't do it. Go to the search engine, which works beautifully, and find your girl and write to your girl that way. I think that is such a better process, if you ask me, which you did. All right, Kevin says, I'm planning to go to Ukraine in July. Good for you, so am I. Would you please answer a few questions? Is it possible to get a SIM card for a month, which includes phone, text, and internet? Yes, it is. You can actually get them online. You can get them at every airport, and a lot of stores offer them these days. What is a good carrier? I have no idea. I've never used a SIM card before. I usually use a long distance plan of my own. So I'm sorry about that, Kevin, but there are many. Can you recommend some names of hotels in Nikolaev? Here's where it gets a little weird for me, Kevin, because if I tell you what hotel we're staying in, we only have a certain number of rooms and we're probably going to sell them out. So I probably can't do that. However, if you would like to call me up and get on my tour in July, you'll have a much better experience on my tour than you're going to have on your own, with all due respect, and I'll share all kinds of information with you, my friend, okay? Joe says, Vancouver, Washington, I'll be on the Kiev tour next month. Great. Has there been an email sent for the ladies' profile numbers that we would like to invite? I haven't seen one yet. You usually don't see it, Joe, but if you send us your list of ladies' profiles whom you would like to meet at the socials or who you would like us to arrange introductions with, take that list with you to Ukraine, by the way. We'll be talking about that soon. We will start inviting women to our social events probably 2 weeks to 10 days before the event. If we call them now, they're just going to say, great, sounds good, but I have no idea. Call me, the week of the event. Because women work 12, 14-hour days. If they have children, they're busy. It's hard to know if they're going to get time off. And people just don't plan very far ahead in Ukraine because nothing ever works out as planned for people in Ukraine. So it's just a cultural thing. So we will wait 2 weeks to 10 days, and then we'll start calling those ladies. Sometimes we send an email, sometimes we'll text, depending on what we know about the women or how we normally contact them. And certainly we're going to call a number of them as well. And one way or another, we're going to drive an awful lot of them to our social events, and probably a whole bunch of them that want to come that aren't going to be able to come because there'll just be too many. But definitely, Joe, we're going to act on that list for you. Be absolutely sure of that. Matt says, I'm interacting with a couple of women in Nikolaev, Ukraine. He's talking about, do you advise that I take the Euro Club because the correspondence is going well, or just a tour if money is not a consideration? Matt, you're writing to a few women in Nikolaev, and you could easily go to Nikolaev and meet them, and I'm sure that would go well for you. If it doesn't go well for you, that's an awful long way to go to meet women for whom, you're just not compatible. And the thing is, a lot of guys decide through correspondence that they're compatible, but I'll tell you what, women never decide that they're compatible in correspondence. I promise you, no matter how polite they are, women in this process, especially Ukrainian women, are far too sensible to realize that you're compatible until you meet. So to a certain extent, men decide, I'm already in love with this girl, I'm going to meet her, and we're going to fall in love. The women are thinking, this sounds very promising, but I don't know if we're going to fall in love until we meet. We may not. And the point of that is, you may very well go and meet and fall in love. You may very well go and meet and it doesn't work out, and that's a sucky feeling. If you're standing in the middle of a beautiful city, Nikolaev, Ukraine, where there are so many incredibly beautiful women who want to meet somebody, but you can't find them because you came to meet a couple of women. And honestly, Matt, I don't know the answer to that question for you, my friend. You're going to have to answer it yourself. I will say that having social parties where a lot of very beautiful women are standing in front of you, a partner interpreter whom you can say, okay, I want to meet that girl, that girl, that girl, and that girl before the night is over. Let's make sure that I do that. Let's go. And you're meeting them, and you're getting dates, and you're dating immediately with women you've seen, whose chemistry you can assess, who are looking at you face to face, and you're interacting, and in 30 minutes of conversation, you are blowing by weeks of correspondence. I think that is a huge strength for somebody. But you're absolutely right. It's more expensive too. But then again, if you're going to pay for airfare, pay for hotel, pay for introductions, pay for dates, all of that stuff, you're probably going to pay for 2/3 of what you'd pay for on a tour and not meet nearly as many women. So naturally, I'm a big fan of the tour process, Matt. You should call me up if you want to talk more specifically about that. The most important thing is to go and meet somebody, and I'll wish you success however you do it, my friend. Jeff says, absolutely, do not forget Women's Day in Ukraine, something we really should have in the States. I could not agree more. I don't know how the United States, I don't know how the greeting card companies and gift franchises have not picked up. How has Amazon not picked up on this? I'm sorry, but it's true. International Women's Day, March 8th, is huge all over the world, and it's totally huge in the Philippines. It's very huge in in Latin America. It is, and it's very celebrated in Ukraine and Russia. On March 8th, women are honored. This is a holiday where we say, hey, women in my life, women at work, mom, love you, appreciate you, thank you, here's some flowers, here's a gift. You know what, I'll do the dishes tonight, you relax tonight, honey. It's that kind of holiday, and women love it. And when you blow it off, it's like blowing off Valentine's Day. They hate that. Go from hero to zero in no time. So yes, absolutely, it's true, my friend. Jeff says we should remember Women's Day, March 8th. So start planning ahead right now. Lee is saying, is the plane ticket included as part of the total cost of the multi-cities tour, or is it a separate purchase? The plane airfare, all of our tours all over the world, 8 different countries, are what we call land-only, Lee, which means that airfare is not included in the price. Airfare was included in the price until sometime in 2012. Over the years, we found that trying to do group airfare was a real problem for the airlines. A lot of guys, half of our guys or more, on every tour commit at the last minute. So it's really hard to get the airlines to hold a group of seats for us. And when we get in that 30-day window before commencement of the tour, they get real itchy. They want to sell those seats if we haven't sold them yet. And yet we know all of our guys are going to come on at the last minute. So we're trying to hold on to those seats. They're trying to sell them. We're trying to work it out. And it just couldn't be worked out after a certain period of time. The airlines were just not willing to hold seats for us. We also found that over time, more guys had their own kind of mileage point systems. They had miles they wanted to use, and less than a third of the guys on every tour were actually doing our airfare. So in 2012, we lowered the cost of our tours drastically, and now our tours are all what's called land only. So you have to purchase your airfare. When you travel internationally, you can't wander around and get lost, guys. They won't let you. So instead, you have to go through a specific pattern. You will land, you will get your passport stamped and technically enter the country within the airport. You can only go to one place to get your bags, and then you can only go out one door, and on the other side of that door our staff will be waiting for you to pick you up, take you to the hotel, and get your tour underway, my friend. Great questions. All right, guys, we've got a little bit of time left. So let's have those questions. We're looking at video footage. Ah, my friend Chris. She's lovely. What a cute couple. And she kissed him in the middle of the social. They just met and she kissed him on the cheek. My goodness. My goodness. That is video footage from one of my favorite socials, July of last year. And this is Patterson. This is a beautiful outdoor venue, an outdoor club, if you will, with fountains and lights. It's gorgeous. Just beautiful. We loved it, and we'll be there again in July. So if you're traveling with me in July to Ukraine, guys, if we're doing Odessa, Nikolaev, and Kherson together, you will be in that video at that club. Yeah, meeting some of these very beautiful women. Very exciting. All right. Bob says, how hard would it be to be connected to Eddie, who was on a tour, who John was referring to last week? I wanted to get some advice from him. It's not hard at all, Bob. If you write to me, bud@loveme.com, I will get you in touch with Eddie or Henry or Freddie or anybody else I can come up with for you. No worries. Somebody is asking, any chance of AFA branching out to other Eastern European countries such as Romania, Belarus, or Poland? Answer, no. And the reason is, we've been doing this for 23 years, guys, and we're not trying to take over the world. Frankly, I've got 14,000 women in Ukraine that want to meet somebody, and we're probably taking, I don't know, a couple hundred of them all year, a couple hundred guys to meet them all year long. And I really feel it's a disservice to go to other countries and get more women when we have thousands of women that are still waiting to meet somebody. And we kind of entered into a partnership with these women when they joined our site to truly, sincerely try and help them meet somebody, and I'm all about that. So I realize there are always going to be places that are interesting, but for us, the women we have on our site right now, I really would like to help them meet somebody. But I appreciate your question very much. Bob says, are you doing any more seminars in Dallas this year? Yes, I think we're doing Dallas and Houston. Here we go. Holy smokes. Guys, if you go to our website and look at where we're doing our seminars, let's see, is Dallas up there? Dallas is up there. So we do have a seminar in Dallas and Houston a little bit later on in the year. We're also going to be doing San Antonio. There we go. Dallas
Houston, San Antonio, I see, and Austin. Yeah, we're doing like 4 cities in Texas in September, it looks like, and a little bit of December. So in the fall of the year, the early winter of the year, we are definitely coming to Texas. So be ready for us, Texas. Going to eat everything in sight when I get there, I'm telling you right now. I'll probably be chewing on a big old rib while I'm doing my seminar. Melvin says, I see on the site and other sites gorgeous mothers, women who are already mothers. I feel a bit hesitant to contact them because many are divorced, and I fear the fathers of their children could be actively involved in the children's lives. How can I overcome this fear? Excellent question. There are a lot of single moms in all countries where we go around the world, and certainly a lot of them in Ukraine, where my friend Mel is interested in going to. Most of the time, not all of the time, most of the time women come to us because they have no support, they are alone, it's them and their child. There is no father who's actively involved in the life of the child. I'm not trying to paint with a wide brush, I'm not stereotyping that all men in a particular culture are like that, but quite frankly, it's true, there are many men that just aren't involved in the lives of their children, and there are some that are. So one of the questions that I would ask somebody, a woman that I was corresponding with if I were Mel, or if you're dating women in Ukraine or China or anywhere, you have a child, there's a father obviously, tell me about the relationship between the father and the child, and let her speak to that. If there's an active relationship between the father and the child, I would punt. Right now, I would say, you know what, I thank you for being honest and open with me. I don't feel that situation would be right for me going forward, and you don't go forward and you meet somebody else. When somebody says, well, to be honest with you, he bailed on us a long time ago, I haven't seen him, haven't heard from him, I have no idea if he's dead or alive, that's somebody you can move forward with, because that's somebody who can complete this process without any kind of interference from the father, as it is in this case. So ask that question. Tell me about the relationship between the child and the father, if I may ask. It may be a little personal up front, so I would wait until it's a tactful time, first date, second date, third date, whenever, or in correspondence after half a dozen letters or so. But that's a question you should ask, because you absolutely have a right. If she's telling you she likes you and she's seriously considering, being your girl, you definitely need to have your mind wrapped around that situation. So ask about it. And then if you hear an answer that gives you reason to believe you should pause or there'll be trouble ahead, you simply move on. You have to. Jeff says, regarding cell phone service in Ukraine, I have Verizon. They have a travel pass plan that I can confirm works in Ukraine. $10 a day for the same plan that you have in the US. Excellent. There's one option for you guys who have Verizon. For me, this was basically unlimited data and unlimited text. It wasn't super fast, but normal texting back and forth to the States and to others in Ukraine worked well. $10 a day, you can't beat that. Great, Jeff. Thanks, man. Appreciate that very much. I think that Sprint, AT&T, all of the major carriers have very, very similar and very competitive international plans. And the reason for that is they were losing to the SIM card market and they didn't want to. So they came up with very competitive international calling plans. Perhaps talk to your current cell phone service provider to see what options are available for you if you take your cell phone abroad and use it. All right, Aaron is asking, we'll do a few more of your questions here, guys. I appreciate them. Good times. All right, Aaron is asking, can you please tell me more about premarital agreements? Is it awkward given that she's leaving everything behind, joining you in America when you bring up this talker? So, yeah, actually it's a little awkward, but that doesn't mean you can't do it or shouldn't do it. You should. In fact, I think the prenup, if you will, the premarital agreement conversation quite frequently comes up in relationships like this. If you have something to protect and you're going to get married, you should protect it. It doesn't really matter where she's from. You should just protect what you need to protect. But Aaron's also right in pointing out she's going to come halfway around the world, to be with you. She doesn't know anybody yet. She's not bringing much with her. She doesn't feel like she's in control of very much, and she feels a little vulnerable. And, if things don't work out, that's going to be tragic and sad and painful. But she is a human being, and you're a considerate guy, so you need to have that conversation. Every prenup marital agreement has got to be a conversation about what is right for you, what will be right for me, and God help us if we ever have to exercise this. I'm going to be traumatized. It's going to be traumatic. So let's talk about it, think about it, talk about it a couple times where the guys bring it up in courtship. Do not bring it up on a first, second, or third, or fourth, or fifth freaking date. Do not do it. I have guys who ask that question right out of the gate. Will she or will she not sign a prenup? And her answer is going to be, how the hell do I know? Who are you? Right? All of that depends on who you are and our circumstances. So you go, you meet, you conduct your courtship, you fall in love, and somewhere in the middle of that, you hold hands and you have that conversation a couple of times. All right? And then what you'll end up doing is creating a premarital agreement that you will translate into her language so that it's always understood that she understood the agreement she's about to connect to. You're going to have considerations in there for her. A one-sided prenup agreement, I mean, I don't know that that's going to stand up in court, right? So again, most of our couples go on and they're happy, you know, and relationships last and last and last. I've only known of a few relationships that didn't work out in my 17 years of doing this, and quite frankly, most of the time the guy just screwed up. The girl did nothing wrong. But it's a good idea to do a prenup, talk about it multiple times, do it gently. Again, you're going to be two people who are in love, Aaron, right? Two people who are in love as in love can be, and this is something that people who respect each other will work out together as it is appropriate to do so. Get it out of the way, put it in a safe, lock it up, and go be lovers. Neil says, I will see you in Kiev in November, staying an extra week. What are your thoughts on Airbnb for an apartment? You know, Neil, I have never used Airbnb, so my thoughts are, I don't know. But there are a lot of sites that are out there that I've heard others use to get apartments. Frankly, hotels.com has apartments. I know booking.com has apartments. You probably could do a Google search. You could probably even write to one of us and see if we know anything or can send you some links or some suggestions. So you can definitely do that, Neil. Just write to me and I'll send you a few links. I'm sure Airbnb will have some options for you as well. Michael says, how long does it take to bring a lady into the U.S. once you've met her, right? And you've created that relationship. Is it easier to bring someone from, for example, Colombia instead of Ukraine, since it is a communist country? That's hilarious. Ukraine is not a communist country, Michael. It's not your fault that you don't know that. We don't hear much about Ukraine, but it's not communist. Or do these women already have their passports and visas in place? Okay, women rarely have visas in place to come to America. Women rarely, you know, it's not no entirely, but women rarely can get tourist visas to come to America. We hear of women in Costa Rica that have sometimes a travel visa and can come to America. Every now and then we hear of somebody in Ukraine or Russia who has a travel visa who can come to America. But for the most part, they don't have visas to come to America, and the only visa they can really get is going to be a fiancé visa. Or if you marry them in their country, you all can go to the U.S. Embassy together and apply for a spousal visa. Either way, in most cases, it's going to take 6 to 8 months for her to get that visa and come to America, in most cases, during which time you're going to be acting on the plan we talked about tonight, right, guys? You're going to be maintaining and building that relationship with all of the technology and resources and actions that you're going to put into place to keep that relationship thriving, to make it deeper and stronger and magical. Is it easier to bring somebody here from Colombia? The only thing that's easier about it is that the processing time for a fiancé visa is about 90 days to 4 months. It's about half of what you're going to encounter because there are fewer applications, frankly, that the State Department is dealing with. So at least as of a year or two ago, it was about a 90-day process for somebody from Latin America and about 6 months to 8 months for somebody from just about anywhere else. So Michael, you go, you fall in love, right? You create that courtship and that wonderful romance, you test it, you deepen it, the two of you are happy, you are as in love as any two people can be. She wants to be with you, she's nervous and scared, but she wants to be with you. You want to be together, you're ready for her, you're going to prove yourself as a man to her, you're going to take care of her and her child if there's a child involved. Do your fiancé visa and go for it, man. Go for it. Andrew, great question, says, I see so many beautiful women in the videos, on the websites. Is there any way to judge their ages? As a 50-something guy, I don't want to be bogged down with ladies that are too young, but I don't want to miss out either on the ones that are appropriate for me. What do you do? Good question. Because as is frequently the case, Andrew, the women in other countries are frequently younger than they appear much younger than their actual age. They really do. They're beautiful, they have healthy diets, they're active, they take care of themselves, and they're frequently much younger looking than their actual ages. So it's a little tricky. But again, this is one of the things that we can control a little bit. How do we control it? Number one, when you do a tour, you will use the search engine to create a list of women that you feel you're compatible with. And if you're realistic when you create that list, that's a good list. We'll put that list into action for you by inviting those women to our socials and also inviting them to meet you for dates while you're in Ukraine or in China or in the Philippines. We'll call the women up and say, here's Andrew, here's a little bit about him. He would like to meet you for coffee, for dinner, for whatever. Would you like to do that? Yes, you would. Great. Then let's meet at the office, getting to know each other, and on we go, or something like that. So we can arrange those dates and we'll work that list for you. Then, when you're traveling with us and you're in the middle of a tour program and you're in social events, like we're watching right now, this great social event from China. Isn't that great video footage from China? Look at that beautiful girl in the red. Lovely woman. And I would bet, just looking at her from what I've known, from what I've seen, which is a lot, that she's probably in her early 40s. Lovely woman, right? All right, anyway. We have translators and matchmakers who will be working with you day to day, my friend, to make sure that you're meeting the women you want to meet. Now, I will have guys that they get sucked into situations that are not right for them. I will have guys in their 50s and 60s who get sucked into social situations with girls that are just too young. And, they'll come back at the end of the tour and say, well, I didn't really meet a lot of women who were my age, but they were there. They were there the whole time. They were right in front of you. You just allowed yourself to get pulled into a direction. Because, let's face it, right? They're beautiful, they're pretty women, they're telling you they're interested in you. They're a lot younger than you probably should be dating, but, what the heck? Here they are, they're lovely, and guys very easily get distracted into those situations. You have got to have focus on what you're there for, and you got to keep that focus. And you tell your partner matchmaker, you know what? I know a lot of guys will come here and tell you just the opposite of what I'm telling you. Right? They only want to date women under 25, no matter where it leads and what happens, whatever the consequences. That ain't me. I want to meet someone who's age appropriate, who's late 20s, 30s, mid 30s, upper 30s, whatever it is. Whatever appropriate is for you, my friend. And so you, translator, matchmaker, staff person, please keep me focused, right? You're my Mr. Miyagi, right? Focus. Focus, buddy son. Focus, Andrew son. Right? Stay focused on the right stuff. And Andrew, honestly, our staff will be more than happy. Here's the thing. Most guys are trying to meet women who are too young when they go on tour. That's just the way it is. And a lot of guys are going to waste a lot of time, a lot of money dating women that are just too young for them. A lot of guys don't want to hear that. That is the truth, like it or not. The good news is there are many women in their 30s and 40s who are stunning and beautiful. They look much younger than their age. They're ready for you. Nobody's dating them. All you got to do is screw your head on right and go get them. And our staff will be very, very happy to help those largely ignored women meet somebody like you if you just let us work with you. Tell us what you're expecting and hoping for, and we'll do it. Yeah. Guys, great questions. I appreciate the variety of the questions, some new faces, some new names I didn't recognize. I know, Mel, you're out there. I know my friend David from Wisconsin. I know you're watching. I know my buddy David from Florida. Scott, I know you guys are there. At Brandon, I know you're there, my friend. Going to see you soon, right? I really love and appreciate you guys. I am so thankful for every one of you. My buddy Rick from Miami. I'm really thankful for you guys. Every day I get up. I read a great quote, in fact, in the last week. An author whose name I believe is Jonathan Carroll. I admit I've never read anything but a whole bunch of his quotes, so maybe he just writes quotes. But his quotes are quite brilliant, and I read one brilliant quote, and it said, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but in this life, the best that we can hope for is to wake up in the morning, and we like where we are. We like what we do. And if we're very, very lucky, we like who we're with. If you ask for more than that, you're a greedy fool. I love that quote. I really do. I definitely like where I am. I mean, I have to admit, there was a time when I certainly didn't envision myself living in Phoenix. But, I'm thankful every day, man. The glass is always half full with me. That is the only way to go through life. I meet people all the time who look at a half full glass and they only see the empty space and everything is empty. If you look at the glass that's half full and you see the water, life will be entirely different for you, I promise you. Attitude is everything. Everything indeed. I definitely like what I do. I love to meet my friends and the good guys that I've met who come to my seminars, and I can tell that I've ignited something in them. I've given them a lot of fire. I've enabled them. I've empowered them. We tore down some walls and some barriers and got some silly stuff out of the way, and they're ready to go and meet somebody. Meet all these women who are high quality, really amazing women, and it's just sad as can be that they're in a place where men can't get to them because they couldn't be in America without so many options, and yet they're in a place like Kiev, Ukraine with no options, and this saddens me. It always has, and I love to watch these men and these women find each other. It's deeply, deeply gratifying for me. So I love what I do, and hey guys, what can I say? I'm looking forward to traveling with you, to being with you in July. We'll have a great tour together. I got a few seats left on the Kiev tour. This is not fluff, guys. I ain't making this up. You'll find out by the end of this week when we close those tours. I got a few seats left in Kiev and a few seats left in Odessa, and if you want to go, get going and let's go, and I'll absolutely give you a life-defining tour experience in a couple of weeks. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys in Dana Point, California this Saturday at our Free International Dating Seminar, or I'll see you next week in Miami, or a week from Sunday in Tampa, right? Or maybe a couple of weeks I'll see you in Indianapolis or St. Louis. Check it out at loveme.com, our seminar schedule. If you want to go, I need an RSVP so I can make sure you got a place to sit and you're comfortable, all right? So RSVP, bud at loveme.com. Kirk, thanks as always. Guys, Kirk is behind the scenes making all of this possible. None of it was possible before he got here. None of it, would be possible without him. So everything that we do, I'm blessed as blessed can be to work with this fine young man. Everybody, have a great week. Send me your questions, bud@loveme.com, and we will be back 1 week from tonight. See you in Dana Point this Saturday, guys.